That's Odyssey with Darren Motamedy. Good morning, good morning. How are you? You all right? All right, the front rows are almost totally empty. We're gonna have an altar call partway because it's very alarming to have the front row empty. So those of you who are feeling willing to challenge yourself to step beyond your boundaries or your usual whatever, it's too cold. Actually, it's not. The front row is not as cold as the second and third row. Now there are giant holes elsewhere, but it's not the front row, so it's good. They will fill in as we go. Did you know that we live in a valley surrounded by mountains? What mountains, right? It's rather smoky out there. It feels like I woke up in Southern California somehow. I don't know, but anyway, it's still a perfect and beautiful day right here in the township of Paradise, Nevada. So would you please say after me, praise God, it's a perfect day.
Praise God, it's a perfect day.
I am so glad to be here. Life is good. And so it is. Oh look, we have a processional. See, I was going to say we have a beautiful flower arrangement, which I know exists because I saw Larry creating it this very morning. And we have them, they're coming up right now. And so I want to let you know who they are by. Nancy Iannacci, all right. You can just put them, yeah. Careful. Oh, he's pointing with his foot. And I dressed to compliment them. Okay, we're gonna move it down. He doesn't want it to block anybody short who happens to be at the lectern. That's a good thing. Larry, they're gorgeous. This is Larry, by the way. And that's Liz. Whoa! And that's Liz. Would we rather use a metal one? I know the column is beautiful. Is this safer? No, absolutely not. Anyway, the beautiful Nancy Iannacci has sponsored these flowers. There's Nancy right back there in loving memory of her father, Melvin Fons. Thank you, Nancy, for adding to the beauty of this day. We really appreciate that. Block them. It's okay. It's okay. If it'll stay there, it's good. Anyway, hi. You know what? You have come into a place that believes that God, the creator of everything, is all that there is. God is all there is. That means that God is all that you are, all that I am, all that we are together. I invite you to open to that. If you're here for the very first time this morning, we honor your presence. We consider you an honored guest. You are welcome to stay for the day. We have a special thing after the service today. I'll tell you about it at the end. And this is a place where you can awaken to the magnificence of yourself as a spiritual being here on planet Earth. We believe that the face of God is your face and our face, and we are awakening to that. We are working together to create a world that works for everyone. If you're back a second time, I'm so happy that something ignited in you and is allowing you to continue the exploration with us. And you who are here frequently, we are so grateful for your presence. It's great to have you here this morning. Throughout the morning, we'll be singing in the songs that we sing together. The words will be on the screen, and that is absolutely what we love to do, celebrate spirit through music. So if and as you are able, I invite you to stand up because we're gonna sing our opening song today about choosing. We're choosing heaven, an experience of heaven, which is conscious connection with God. We're gonna do that. Choose heaven. Here we go. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Kindness. I'm choosing kindness today. I'm choosing kindness today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing kindness today. I choose forgiveness today. I choose forgiveness today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I choose forgiveness today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. others, shake a hand, get a hug. Introduce yourself to people you don't know here this morning.
As we begin this morning, I'd like to take a moment and ask you to take a minute, check in on Facebook if you have not already done that, and silence your cell phone, please. Thank you. We're going to begin this morning with the affirmation. It's printed in your program that you were given. It's also on the screen. We're going to say that aloud today to remind you of the truth of your being. So I invite you to take it with you and read it often as a reminder this week. And together we say, today I affirm that the divine presence is in everyone and everything. I know that all things and everyone near me are for my highest good, and I rejoice. So take that in. And then allow those words to take you into the silent place, allowing this morning's music to touch your heart, to touch your soul, followed by this morning's invocation.
Come on, Joe. I need to be still.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me.
When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me. I need to relax, let God take over. I need to relax, let God take over.
And take this load off of my shoulders. I need to relax and let God take over. I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need
to be still. Let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me.
And whether it is in the cacophony of sounds around Las Vegas or in the very stillness of the I am that lives in and as each of us, I open myself to remember that the very creation of all is what created me. So it with a capital I, being the back of all creation, brought us forth to live this one life, this life that is perfect, this life that is the life of God, the life of the divine, that which is our divine birthright. Today we sit amongst family and friends on this holy ground, knowing that we are loved, that we are safe in ways beyond measure. And I invite each of us to take that energy, that time, that space, that love, and let it go out to everyone, everything, and everywhere on this planet, touching hearts and changing lives as that which is you, that which is that I am, moves forward around this planet. For the very essence of the divine is all that we are, all that ever has been, and certainly all that ever will be. For I am, you are, and we are the world, and so it is.
Can you hear me out there? All right, all right. You guys feeling good? Good, good. We're feeling good. I'm going to play an original song for you. And a lot of times when we play instrumental music, nobody really knows what we're playing. You know, oh, that's a pretty song, whatever. But nobody really knows what the background of the music is because there's no words to it. But yeah, I've been really reflecting a lot lately with all the media stuff out there, like everybody has, and it's just kind of time to turn off. You know, we hear stuff so fast and know everything that's going on in the world. We know everybody's business. It's like, I want to know about my business, and that's all I want to know about, and be happy with me. And I had a friend of mine that asked me to write this song for her. She said, don't worry about the past, and don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's coming up. You have to plan for it, but just think about the moment. Just be present in the moment, and just let it be. So we're going to play a song for you right now. This is called Forever Is Now. Just let it be.
That would be Darren Motamedy. Melvin Macias, Mike Meacham, Justin Vogel. That's Odyssey. Woo. Oh my goodness. That was pretty hot. I'm sweating. Well, hi. How are you? That's what we're looking at this year, a world that works for everyone. Our global vision as a denomination is a 10-point, really, statement. It's available out on the information wall if you'd like to take it with you. I don't know why that's not moving. It's supposed to move. Anyway, and then every month we have a theme that we focus on that says, here's how we can get there. Here's how we can apply ourselves to creating a world that works for everyone. July's theme happens to be loving kindness and forgiveness, and of course then there's a message each week. And so this message is rose-colored glasses. And it might have been prompted or inspired by this, which is an excerpt from our Declaration of Principles. It's how we focus ourselves this week. It's we believe in the eternal goodness of life. Now the last few weeks, the last few years, the last few decades might have us wondering about that. And I wonder then if this is kind of where the phrase came from, the title for this morning, rose-colored glasses. Is it true that we in New Thought look at the world through rose-colored glasses when we say things like that? I would hazard a guess or a statement that says, actually, no. That's not actually a form of denial of how things really are, right? Jeff Ryan in his message last Wednesday, and then also in the conversation that we had, or a couple Wednesdays ago, and then the conversation that he convened on Wednesday afternoon this week, talked about New Thought, of which we are a part. The New Thought movement started in the northeastern United States, a relatively affluent Caucasian area of the country back in the late 1800s, but the roots of New Thought go further back than that, and still in the same general vicinity. And while the point made this past couple of weeks that New Thought was formed in the United States as a result of a privileged upbringing, kind of. It came through this idea of a privileged idea of life. That is true as far as it goes, and yet the founders of New Thought, all the way back to Phineas Quimby, were working with principles that they were exploring as how mind shapes our reality. And the founders of these kinds of teachings literally experienced physical healing. God bless you, literally experienced things like Charles Fillmore was famous for having lengthened one of his legs. Another one was feeling incredibly lame from a horse riding injury. Physical healings resulted from their use and work and exploration of the principles that we are following still today. And what they've proved is that these principles are universal, and that they do work for everyone. If that came as the result of privilege, still it came. And is proving itself to be universal. It means that anyone, no matter in what circumstance, can apply these universal principles and experience a greater wholeness in their life, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual. And so the idea that this teaching is an easy one is not necessarily true. It's simple. Your thinking, your mind, your beliefs create the experience that you have, the world that you perceive, but it's not an easy thing. In a book called This Thing Called You, which I would recommend for anyone to read, it's one of Ernest Holmes's books, and it's a terrific read. He wrote, to realize that God is ever present, ever available, is to know that all the wisdom, intelligence, and power of the universe is right where you are. This is why everything in your life depends upon your belief, why it is done unto you as you believe. Change your belief, and you can change your world. And I love that he wrote your world, not the world. Change your belief, and you can change your world. What I know and what I believe and what I understand is that it takes guts, real spiritual fortitude, to stand in my world or this world and proclaim that God is all there is and to live it. It takes guts to do that. It's not always easy, thank you, it's not always easy to live that way, especially when things are going on that appear to give lie to that idea. It takes guts to stand in the truth and to live your life from this perspective. It takes guts to sit and watch a political convention of a party whose views seem to be far removed from your own and not implode. and to proclaim God is all there is, and to seek to find shared humanity, and to listen, to really listen to an other's perspective and seek to really hear it and maybe even understand it. Did anyone do what I suggested last week with the convention from last week, or you're planning to do it this week?
I tried.
You tried? That's what I asked. I asked that we, of either week, whichever one feels the furthest away from your own convictions or perspective or values, to sit and to watch it with the intention of seeking shared humanity, of hearing or finding evidence of God, or to hear the perspective of another and to really hear it. I was challenged often this past week to keep my opinions to myself, to keep my mouth shut, and to seek, to listen, and to hear. And I succeeded sometimes. And for me, that was big. This is not a practice for wimps. I mean, in this case or any other, where you are challenged with something in the external realm that feels like it flies in the face of what you believe, and it maybe even challenges what you believe. And to sit in it and practice it and listen and find. I was so grateful to the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living on their e-blast this week. They posted a blog listing from one of our ministers, Jim Lockhart, and it's one of the things that you were handed when you came in, and it's my affirmations to guide me intentionally and wisely through this political season. Now, this is narrowly focused on politics. I invite you to use this list in any regard for any area of your life where you find yourself challenged, where you encounter something that you say, that's not right. And some of the things are just really, really wonderful. I'm going to post to social media only things that speak to what I am for, not what I am against. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, find me one person who stands for something and against nothing, and I will show you a person that can change the world. For something and against nothing. I post things that I have researched and reasonably believe to be accurate. That would be sweet if everybody did that, right? Did you know that blah, blah, blah? It's like, you know, it's, I mean, some of the things that most of us would who are in New Thought would think to be so true because they are so prevalent. There's this idea that in the Chinese written language, the form for crisis means both challenge and opportunity. It's not true. And it is posted in millions of places. And yet an actual scholar of the language and a native English speaker has done the research and says that's not so. That's not what it is. So, you know, some of the tropes that we use and the memes that we have in New Thought are based on things that are not accurate. How many of you have been fascinated by and really moved by the Emoto water crystal experiment, right? I mean, we all say that's amazing, it's so true, and it has never been replicated, ever. Ever. So from a scientific perspective, it's not real. It only got showed once. So that's not, for us who proclaim to be scientists of spirituality, that's not enough. We need to prove it more. I'm not saying it's not true. I just would like to see more proof. That's the idea, though, the idea that we can stand in apparent reality and say, this is what I believe. I believe that God is all there is. So we are not wearing rose-colored glasses in the context of denying what's really going on in the world. Though we are accused of that sometimes, that's not what's so. What's so is we are standing in the truth no matter what the evidence is to the contrary. There's a big difference there. So I say, no, we are not wearing rose-colored glasses. And now I'm going to say, yes, in fact, we are wearing rose-colored glasses. If our name is Rose. And Rose Otis, I don't think, is here. Rose Bernard isn't here this morning. But they are wearing rose-colored glasses when they behold their world. I am wearing Doug-colored glasses when I behold the world. Because I behold the world. I don't see the world as it is. And by the way, you don't see the world as it is. I see the world as I am. You see the world as you are. My perception of the world is colored by how I perceive it, through the filters and beliefs and the things I accept and the things I expect from within. That's what colors my world. So my life is lived from the inside out. And yes, there are lots of things that millions and millions, if not billions of people agree are wrong or bad. It does not necessarily make that so. There are people in your life that you are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt are wrong and bad. And you have all of the other people in your life agreeing with you that that is true, that they are wrong and bad. And that does not necessarily make that true. Just because people agree does not necessarily mean it's the truth. These are the things that we are challenged to live on a daily basis. In June of last year, Reverend Ron Fox, he's in Florida now, he provided the daily guides in the Science of Mind magazine. And on June 26th, he wrote this little piece. He said, "What we see in our outer world is a projection of what we are feeling in our inner world." Anthony DeMello, a Jesuit priest, wrote the following vignette. "Student, why is everyone so happy except me? Master, because they have learned to see goodness and beauty everywhere. Student, why don't I see goodness and beauty everywhere? Master, because you cannot see outside of you what you fail to see inside." In other words, what we fail to see from within, we will never experience externally. We live from within out. Now, this is repeated all the time in platforms and venues such as this, that we live from the inside out. That is true. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this space, this Philosophy Center for Spiritual Living, put it a little bit differently in this thing called you. The thing that stands between you and the greater good is a thing of thought and nothing else. It is not reality that you must change, but your mental reaction to it. Reality with a capital R. The truth of this universe, the truth of God's creation, it is not that we want to change. It's our reaction to it, our perception of it. That's how it works. From within out. If I feel imperfect internally, I'm going to see imperfection in the world around me. It makes sense, right? But what am I practicing when I do that? I am practicing imperfectionism. Seems to me that's equally as not great for me as perfectionism is not great for me, right? I'm practicing imperfectionism because of what is inside of me. And until I become more conscious of that and then more willing to shift that and to see more of the good, more of the God that is present in me and in my world, I'm not going to experience a change. Back in 2000, it was within my first 9 months here, I was still single, and I was bemoaning my singleness to a friend of mine, a female friend of mine who was a student with me in the School of Ministry. She was in town visiting family, and we were at what was, I think, then called the Rampart Casino. I don't know what it's called now, but we were online at the buffet. I remember this. We were probably standing in front of seafood. I think I remember seafood in front of me because I had such a moment of revelation in a conversation I was having with her, being all whiny about being single and all alone in this brutal town. At that moment, it was brutal. It was feeling brutal to me, of Las Vegas. And so in that moment, I had my own personal revelation of something that was a definite experience of as within, so without. In the conversation, I realized that up until that moment, I had been attracting individuals to me in relationship who felt lower about themselves than I felt about myself, so that then I would feel better in the relationship. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense, but do you understand? Do you see where that led to? It was just sort of like, so this person feels lower about themselves than I feel about myself, so now I feel better. Well, that was ridiculous. When I had that note, I was like, oh, for God's sake, no wonder I've had this experience for a long time. So I knew in that moment, and I committed to myself that I needed to be open to attracting that one who had a very high self-esteem, a high regard of self, and who would not fall for or be prey to those low self-esteem mind games that seemed to happen when I was indulging in those kind of things. And boy, did I hit the jackpot. Yeah? If you know Corey, you know there's not a low self-esteem bone in his body. It's awesome. And a person that cannot be controlled and manipulated, because those are the things, I like to joke about control, but truly, I was a control freak. And so I've been pretty much broken of that, I think, in large measure. I still try to control the world, but that's easy to see past. Anyway, so that's the idea of as within, so without. If we wish to create a world that works for everyone and for all of creation, we must seek to find those places within us that are identifying with imperfection. So do you agree or not with this statement? We human beings tend to label or categorize. Yeah? Anybody think they don't? I know you might be working on it, but I suspect that you are still on the journey of awakening that we are all on, and find yourself prey to that. Categorizing, labeling. Yes, no, good, bad, right, wrong, God, not God, that kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about labeling. In truth, everything simply is. Everything that is. And it is God. And I can stop there and just call it God, because sometimes calling it good right away is difficult, if not impossible. But everything is, and it is God. Even when we can't see the good, or the perfection, or the right action, or the beauty, or the purpose, or God in it, our lives are still centered in and filled with a divine perfection. Even when moments that feel like the earth is literally moving under your feet in a negative way, there is still godness there and perfection. There is still that presence and activity, because that's all that there is. I am simply labeling it something else in that moment. Now, I may have shared this with you before, so forgive the repetition. It's just really one of these experiences that is so perfect for this kind of idea. About 5 years after I got here, the pulpit, the position of senior minister in my old home church, became available. And when I heard that, I thought, yes, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And I did this very quietly. A few people here knew it, but it wasn't anything that one announces for lots of reasons, but it's not a done deal yet. So anyway, I threw my hat in the ring. I prepared a talk, I prepared a workshop, I got all excited to see some of my old peeps back in Huntington Beach, and thought it was going to be great. Traveled to Southern California, interviewed with this committee. Can you imagine a personnel committee of like 15 people surrounding one person and interviewing them? That was an interesting experience. And then I did my Sunday morning talk, got a huge ovation. People were so excited to see me. I mean, standing on their feet and cheering and clapping and hugging and screaming. And it was, I must say, kind of great. Did that, it went over really well. Did a workshop afterwards, it was well received. There was a question and answer period after that about all sorts of things that was a little bit unsettling, but it was no big deal because I was still there with my peeps. And there were other warning signs that I completely ignored. Didn't matter because I was home. And this is for me, this is going to be great. So I come back to Las Vegas and enter my life again and get pretty convinced that this is going to be for me. I'm going to get called back. In our faith, a lot of times there's one round and then there's a second round. You come back with fewer candidates so that people can really make a final decision. And I knew I was going to get called back and it was going to be great. And all the way through the process, from the moment I found out the opening was available, I said to myself, and I was working spiritually with the idea, that divine right action is always taking place. If this is meant to be, there is nothing that can stop it from happening. If it is for my highest good and the universe's highest good. If it is not for my and the universe's highest good, nothing can make it happen, not even my own controlling it, right? So we go through the process, and it felt so good that we put our house on the market. And it felt so much even better that Corey, who had been a realtor at the time, decided, I'm going to take a job in Southern California. So he did that, and he commuted to that job every Sunday and came back home every Friday for the weekend. And he did that for 6 months while this process was going on. A couple months, 4 months. At 9:30 at night, on the very last day that they said was the window of them making a decision for the second round of candidate, at 9:30 at night, Sunday night, they called me and said, you're not coming back. Literally, I felt the earth shift under my feet. This was not even in my reality at all. It was so late, but I had to call down to where Corey was staying, and I had to have the people in the house wake him up to tell him, I'm not moving there. You're working there, but I'm not moving there. And so that was kind of one of those moments where your whole life, as you thought it was going to be unfolding, ceased to happen that way. And one of the good things for me in that experience was I got right back to, this is divine right action. You know, if it was meant to be, it was going to happen. If not, nothing can make it happen. I'm going to stand in this and be grateful. It was still upsetting. I still had lots of smoothing of my ruffled feathers to do, and yet I knew at the very heart of me that this was divine right action. And so I stood in the midst of tremendous personal upset and said, God is all there is. All of my needs are met. I am being well taken care of. And what happened? What happened was the minister that was hired as a result of that practice, and one or two more after that one, were chewed up and spit out by that church before things settled down. Those warning signs that I could have paid attention to but didn't could have told me that. That was me saying, you know what, God, I got this. the heck with my intuition, right? So that's one thing. And I would not have had the experiences of great joy and challenge and deepening and growth that I have had right here since then, since 2004, I think it was. Yeah. And so as a result, and I didn't even know this, I didn't even recognize this. Last Monday, I was sitting at home, it's my day off, my phone rang, my parents were on the phone and they were singing happy anniversary to you, and I'm like, what? I looked at the date, I'm like, July 18th. That was the first Sunday I spoke here as the senior minister. That was 17 years ago Monday. Here I am. Yeah. So it's been terrific, and it continues to be terrific. And again, I had opportunities to see what was happening, and I chose not to. And yet, still, divine right action and the highest and greatest good was taking place. I did not need to go to another place that was in turmoil. When I first got here, it was pretty tumultuous. I didn't need to do that again, and God knew that, and I ignored it. So that was awesome. Ernest Holmes, in our textbook, The Science of Mind, says this: we are surrounded by an infinite possibility. It is goodness, life, law, and reason. It is expressing itself through us. It becomes more fully conscious. No. In expressing itself through us, it becomes more fully conscious of its own being. Therefore, it wishes to express through us. As it passes through our being, it automatically becomes the law of our lives. It can pass into expression through us only as we consciously allow it to do so. Therefore, we should have faith in it and its desires and its ability to do for us all that we shall ever need to have done. This infinite mind that created the universe has the ability to do for us all that we shall ever need to be done, but we have to awaken to it and then consciously allow it to do that. Allow it to do that. And you know what? Most of the things that we experience as blocks in our lives are us blocking that good. Even when we're ignorant of the good, it's the good trying to push through. So he is saying this from the context of universal principle, of spiritual truth. And this is true for everyone, everywhere, always. Again, it does not matter the conditions around a person or in their life or where they came from. Countless thousands of people have proved it who were not born into privilege, who were not born into a free society, who were not born into a nation that is governed by a constitution as empowering as ours. Thousands of people have proved these principles, being born in and raised in completely oppressive environments. It helps to prove that these principles are true. But the work is up to us. So even when things are catastrophic, now that experience I shared with you recently was not catastrophic. It was incredibly upsetting in my personal system, but it wasn't catastrophic. Even when things are catastrophic, we can seek and eventually find the activity of God, the presence of good. Sabrina's meditation this morning challenged us to do that, to do just that. But even when things are catastrophic, and certainly as has been acknowledged already this morning, we've had an opportunity to witness or to hear about some pretty catastrophic events of late. And it is exactly our willingness to do this work that is going to transform our world. It's vital to do this work, to seek and find evidence of God, to listen to an other whose values seem to be very different from yours, just to listen and to seek understanding, really to hear what they're saying. A 17th century Japanese poet and samurai wrote, "Since my house burned down, I now own a better view of the rising moon." That's one of the translations, and I love that. Since my house burned down, I now own a better view of the rising moon. That is taking within and saying, where's the good here? What is the larger picture? How can I see something greater here? Each of us has ample opportunity to shift our perception in our lives to see God. In any situation, in any person, in any group, in any occasion, we have an opportunity to seek and find God. We must be on the vanguard of this practice if we wish to see a world that works for everyone. We have to. It's a simple matter of, if not us, who? We have to be on the vanguard of this. So in this coming week, I will likely do as much head shaking and opinion suppressing as I did last week. Maybe not quite as much picking my jaw up off the floor, but some opinion suppressing and head shaking, certainly. And I'm challenging myself again in the midst of this, which seems to be so prevalent in a lot of people's hearts and minds, which generates a lot of unkind and harsh rhetoric, to seek evidence of God, to find some shared humanity. That's how I'm going to approach it this week. If watching a political convention, a presidential nominating convention, is not your thing or not your way of challenging yourself to do this practice, then find something else in your life. Find some place, some person, some group, some event, some experience that you have labeled not God or negative in some way, and do the work there. Seek to find evidence of God. Seek to perceive some shared humanity. Seek to listen, maybe even to hear and to understand. This practice is not easy sometimes. Sometimes it's a piece of cake, but sometimes it's very challenging to sit in that practice and say, no matter what, I'm going to affirm and embrace the idea that God is present here. And the reality of it is that your you-colored glasses and my Doug-colored glasses will always be that color. And that color becomes more empowering, more enhanced, deeper, richer, more beautiful as we up-level our consciousness in this way to recognize that God is all there is. And I'm going to live my life from that perspective. So those colored glasses can and do change as we do. So I proclaim my willingness and my commitment to continue that journey in a more conscious, more deliberate, and a more profound way to go deeper and farther than I've ever gone before. Will you join me? Not as enthusiastic as I had hoped. But there were yeses, so I'm going to take it. Let's go. Namaste. Thank you. All right. Yes, indeed. So, offering is next, isn't it? We've changed this so recently that I'm still thinking, what is next? All right, so we're going to move to share our tithes, offerings, our way of expanding the reach of this community. As I've shared with you all month, this is the first month of our new fiscal year. We are working with an expanded budget, and that means that we are opening to a greater flow of good from within and all around, from every conceivable and those that we don't even know yet, avenues of expression. This is a way that we can ensure that our mission of inspiring conscious union with God is fulfilled as we work together to satisfy the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, creating a world that works for everyone. So we're having greater local outreach this year. Our youth and family ministry has a greater emphasis through our budget, and we are taking much better care of our human resources, our full-time staff, but it takes all of us. I can't do this alone. I know that I'm not in this alone. Many of you have proclaimed your willingness to step it up and to join us in this expansion. It's so exciting. We're so grateful. I invite you to consider your gift as that aspect of God that you are sharing with this community that is financial in nature. Whatever it is that you're giving, I'm so grateful to you for that. I invite you to hold it near your heart, to bless it. If you give in another way, if you give electronically or some other way, you auto-tithe to this center, use your connection card to bless your gift. We're going to give it a silent blessing. We'll send it on its way, and then Odyssey will give us a gift as well. So we bless it silently. And so it is. Michael Meacham on drums. That was good. Thank you, Michael. All right. Oh, so there are a few things to share with you beyond what's going on today. Judy, why don't you come on up, because we'll hear from you in just a second. We have a book of the month. We are still in July, so July is happening, and it is called The Book of Forgiving, based on our theme for this month. It's by Desmond Tutu and his daughter, Mfo Tutu. They were pivotal in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission experience of South Africa. They know of which they write, and so it's a powerful book, 20% off in the bookstore this month. I want to let you all know, though, as you've heard the last couple of weeks, we're having this amazing experience right after the service today. It is our second of 3 summer jazz cafes. This one happens to be a New Orleans theme, but these guys are going to be our musical delight during that time. It's going to be a lot of the standards that we recognize, probably some other things. I understand that Doug Roll is also going to be performing, and it is only $15. And you can't really read what this says, and I shared the menu with you last week. Not only is the room amazing looking, it looks very much like a Louisiana kind of place, but we're having endive salad with chicken, goat cheese, and pecans, arugula salad with jicama, mandarin oranges, and lemon poppy seed dressing. I got to see all of these this morning. She didn't let me taste any of them, but I got to see them. It was a little bit cruel, but I prayed. It was good. German potato salad, and then a skillet with sweet potato, kale, and sage with quinoa. There is jambalaya, thanks to Scott Schmidt, a huge quantity of that. Vegetable and quinoa paella. That looks amazing. Cornbread, freshly made beignets, and then cupcakes brought by Kelly Marshall, and non-alcoholic New Orleans hurricanes. Wow. $15, the music of a lifetime, and food that is homemade and deliciously prepared. It's awesome. Judy, come on up. We have a Wednesday service every Wednesday night at 7. Judy Poteet and Bobby Williams will... Oh.
See clearly. I have on my rose-colored glasses. Yes, my rose-colored glasses help me to filter out, even though I see it, it reduces the glare, the impact of greed, of conflict, of separation, of competition. And what it allows me to do is see the good, to see the givingness, the cooperation, the compassion that exists in our world in huge numbers. For every act of violence, there are 1 million or more acts of kindness. And many of them impact even more people than what we hear about the violence. An example of that, just recently, 2 rappers, well-known, high-profile rappers, went to the LA Police Department to work with them on creating better relationships in the hood. Did we hear about that on the news? Good. I'm glad you heard it, because it's one of those millions of acts of kindness that impact people every day. So come Wednesday night, explore this idea even further. We've got our rose-colored glasses on.
Thank you. All right. So... Nice. Wow. Hey, we're up-leveling our announcements. We're going to have a musical cue for each one now. I'm going to challenge them with this next one. Starting next Sunday, membership orientation for 3 Sundays in a row. It's a free class. It's not really a class. It's an opportunity for you to get to know what membership is. If you want to become a member of this center, you get to meet other members of the center who are in leadership positions, both elected and volunteer. And it's an opportunity to find out more about this center and how it operates and what it takes to operate it and what it's a part of and its history and all of that good stuff. And then what is expected of a member and what a member may expect of the center. That's starting next Sunday at 11:45 a.m. There is a sign-up sheet at the Empower You table in the lobby. If you have a desire to sit for those 3 Sundays with us, please sign up so that we can prepare the materials to begin next Sunday. Got any music for that one? We stumped them. All right. So We're going to end with prayer, as we always do, and I want you to know that we always have practitioners available to you for prayer after the service ends. So after the service ends and before you go to the bookstore or the Jazz Cafe, head into the prayer room and see a practitioner for prayer. That is your opportunity to really get a spiritual uplift as you finish your time here or continue your time with us. And so that is always available to you as a free service from our practitioners. All right, so we're going to pray. So I invite our ministry of prayer to stand and surround the sanctuary and balcony with their presence. Our ministry of prayer, we call our ministry of prayer the practitioners and ministers who serve here. We are all members here and we serve on a daily basis. We are committed to entering into affirmative prayer on your behalf. As a part of this congregation, whether you're here for the first time or the million and first time, every single day we are knowing for you that God is right where you are, always. If you have a specific way we can support you in prayer, I invite you to write that on the back of your connection card. There's a place in the lobby that you can fill out a little green card and put it in the prayer box or send an email to the Ministry of Prayer. Lots of ways to receive specific support from us, but know that just as a general blessing, we are doing this every single day for you, and we're so grateful and honored to be part of your spiritual support team. So I invite you to take in a deep breath with me and let that breath out. And so I remember right here, right now, God is all there is. How wonderful to have this moment and this place and this space in life. Simply to affirm that and to know that all is well. Ultimately and infinitely, all is well. Even in the chaos of the creative process, all is well. Even with the fits and starts of evolution of consciousness, all is well. Even in the midst of turmoil and upset, spiritually speaking, all is well. Because all is God. One life, one power, one intelligence that created everything in the beginning from itself. There was nothing else but God for the universe to come from. So this entire universe is made of the substance of the divine. And as our intelligence grows and evolves, it is revealing to us now through science and physics and astronomy that this universe will continue to expand infinitely. It is becoming God, more God-like, more of the infinite. And yet God still surrounds the universe. The universe is still finite. But everything in it is a creation of that one, and that is me, and that is everyone present, and all who hear these words. There is only one. It is God. In vast diversity and multiplicity, and yet still one. It's who I am, it's what I am, it's how I am made, and it is living itself as me now and always. Even when I am unaware or forget, it is the truth of my life. It is the truth of every life. And so for all who hear these words, I speak the word of truth, knowing that we are the presence of the one. As is everyone and everything else, and yet here together right now in this moment we are remembering it and we are embracing it, and we are then saying yes to its lead, its impress, its guidance, its illumination. And then we move out into the rest of our lives beyond these walls and stand in that truth no matter what. And even though I personally shall continue to see the world as I perceive it, in this moment I recognize and accept that my perception is being expanded and deepened. I am seeing more of reality by committing to live from this perspective that God is all there is in my life. And I'm so grateful that other minds and hearts are aligning with this truth as well. And that we are among those on the vanguard of a new consciousness, a new reality, a new earth and universe that recognizes, understands, and practices shared humanity, unity, oneness, and therefore peace and harmony, a greater experience of a world that works for everyone. I'm so grateful to know this. I'm so grateful for this community, for its presence and activity in my life and mine with it. And I'm so grateful to know that as we accept and as we believe, it is done. So we can release the word, we can let go of the prayer and know that it is in the same law, the same creative process that created the universe in the beginning. This prayer is surrendered to that process now. And as we believe and as we accept and as we expect, it is done. So I can let go. I can know that it is good, it is God, from beginning to end and at every moment in between. We are so blessed. We let go together by saying, and so it is. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole. All right, let's get up on our feet if we're able. We're going to finish the letting go process by singing I Release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Here we go. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
All right. Hey, reach out and touch somebody's hand if you would. We've got one more song to sing that we're singing the whole month of July. But first, please say after me, today I say yes to goodness.
I say yes to goodness.
The eternal goodness of life.
The eternal goodness of life.
This week I commit to seeing the goodness
This week I commit to seeing the goodness
and to being the goodness
and to being the goodness.
more and more every day.
More and more every day.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
And so it is.
And so it is. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me.